Alright, today we're going to look at an extension on what we know. If you're watching this video, it's because you've shown me you already have a strong grasp on how to solve using algebra. The next 2 days are important for the other students because they're going to be catching up to where you are. But while they work on that, I'm going to show you a trick to solving using a calculator. Just right now, be sure you have a graphing calculator with you so you can participate in this exercise. I'm going to walk through some problems slowly. And what you should do is make sure you push all the buttons and follow exactly what I do. Please be sure to take notes on the buttons that are being pressed so that you can apply it later on your assignment. But just a quick list of what you need to write down in terms of the basic keys. You have a y equals button we're going to be pressing. I'll show you where that's at. That takes us to the graphing page. That is where you will actually enter your information. You have a button that has x, t, a weird number, I think we might call it theta, and n. That is used to represent our x or whatever other letter that we use in that variable. The graph button is going to be used to graph the actual equations, and there's a combination here, second trace, that we're going to use to bring up the information that we need to find our answer. So take a moment to write those combinations down. You're going to learn that this process is very easy once you understand how it works. And after you get it written down, feel free to move on and then follow my steps to the following examples. Really, you don't need to write much more than that. Because I think after the few examples we're going to do, you should have a good idea once you get to practice. So pause the video and then move on once you are ready. I'm going to start out by slowly solving this problem using algebra. When we saw 11x plus 16 equals 4x minus 5, we always started off by picking the smaller x, which is the 4, and we subtracted the 4x from both sides. 11 minus 4 gave us 7x. Plus 16 equals, and then we brought down a negative 5. From there, we subtracted 16 because we wanted to get it away from the 7. That made negative 21, and from there we divided by 7 to get x equals negative 3. Take a moment now and get your calculator out, and we are going to now solve this using our graphing calculator. With that, all we have to do is type in what is on the left side. So first off, we hit our y equals button, which is found on the left side at the very top part of the menu. So it says y equals. You hit that button and you recognize that there are equations there, which we'll talk about how to clear those. But you use this to enter your equations. All we're going to do is enter the left side of this equation in the first part. And if you hit the down arrow a few times, you notice you can shift up and down that menu. But we're going to enter the second equation on the left or the right side of the equation on the second part. So we go up, we type 11. For the x, we hit this button right here, the x, t, theta, n button, plus 16. We move down to enter this part where we have 4x. So again, hit that button for your x minus 5. And again, now you have 11x plus 16 equals 4x minus 5. You hit equals, or I'm sorry, not equals. You hit graph on that, which is up here in the upper right side. Excuse me. The fact you see this movement means that there are graphs being done, which means once it stops moving, we're finished. What we are looking for in this picture, what happened is both of these gave us two lines, and we are looking for where these two lines cross or where they intersect. And so in order to find that, what we're going to do is we're going to hit second, which is we already know about, and trace, which is right next to graph, to bring up a menu. This menu gives us everything we need. It helps us find a value, a zero, a minimum, a maximum, an intersection, and some other things. Well, like I said, we're looking for the intersection, so arrow down to number 5, and you hit enter to select it. And it's going to bring up some menus here that really mean nothing to you. So first curve we don't care about, just hit enter. Second curve we don't care about, hit enter again. Third curve, or guess, we don't care about, hit enter one more time. And you notice that what it says is intersection x equals negative 3, y equals negative 17. We don't care so much about the y, but if you look at the x, notice it says x equals negative 3, and our answer was also x equals negative 3. So what you just did is you used the calculator to tell you what the value of x, or whatever the variable that we were looking for, is in this problem. To do that again hit second trace, go down to pick intersect, and then kind of like the fairy tale, click your heels 3 times, hit enter 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then it gives me my answer. That is how easy this is in terms of your experience. So now let's take a moment to just work through a few of these and get ready for your Math Excel. So going back to this, once you hit your y equals, hit clear while it's on the top equation, it takes it all the way out. Hit clear again on the second equation, it takes that all the way out. We are going to type 10x plus 21, then move down and type 2x minus 3. Again, pause the video if I get too far ahead of you. While you're still typing it in, just make sure you get everything in for yourself so you can see for yourself that it works. After you have that in there, you hit graph. Again, this is moving, which means it's doing some work. Once it stops, it means that the work is done. We have two lines. We hit second trace again to bring up that menu. We go down to intersect. We hit enter. And then from there, we just hit enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And we look at our answer here, which again is x equals negative 3. Yes, you can use this to check your work, but just remember on your test you will not be able to use this for your answer, because if you don't show work that it's going to be wrong. But I'm just showing you this because if you're taking a multiple choice test and you need the answer and you still remember how to do it, then you can use this calculator to help you get there. Going back to part B, y equals, again, clear out the first one, clear out the second one. Here, 4x minus 8. Move down. Here, 12 plus 6x. Graph that out. Again, wait for this to stop showing that it's working. Then you hit second trace. You don't always have to arrow down to number 5. What you can also do under these menus is, because it says 5, is you can actually hit the 5 button, because that's what the option is, and then you go ahead and hit enter, 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 which tells us that our answer is negative 10. Easy stuff. C, typing this in, 7y minus 9. Now I understand it says 7y minus 9, but we're still going to use the same button, and we're going to actually assume that this is an x. Whenever you use your graphing calculator to solve, we are solving for x every time, because it doesn't have other letters in it. So we're just going to work it out as if it says 7x minus 9 and 24 minus 4x. So we type 7x minus 9. And then go down, y equals, we hit 7x minus 9. And then we go over and we hit 24 minus 4x, again not y. You graph that out, you wait for it to stop working for a moment. Once it is finished, hit second trace, choose option number 5, enter, 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 and you see that our answer is, again, we don't care about that because we are assuming everything is x. Your answer will always be right here. So x equals 3. That is the answer we are looking for. Even in an ugly quick problem like D, we again just go ahead and type in exactly what we see, like I've always taught you. Negative 3, that is not a minus, that is a negative 3. So use the negative button, parentheses, negative c, which we're going to use x, minus 12. Close your parentheses. Type exactly what you see, except for the fact that our variables are all x's. Go over here, we have negative 3x minus 12. We graph them out. Wait for this thing to stop working. Once it stops working, we hit second trace, select option 5, hit enter 3 times, and we find out our answer is C. Sorry, this should have been y up here. But C equals negative 8. Last one. Just in case you see this later, which you probably will at some point. 3x plus 3x minus 7 equals 29. Still works the same way. The left side says 3x plus 3x minus 7. The right side says 29. Notice that's all I type in is exactly what's on the right side, which is 29. I hit the graph key. I'll let the graph do its work. I hit second trace. Select option 5, which is to find the intersection. Hit enter 3 times. It tells me here that my answer is x equals 6. Alright. So be sure to ask about any issues today that you might be having while solving the equations in MathXL. For today, don't worry about showing the work. This is just a day for you to apply the technological advantage that graphing calculators make available. Get as much as you can completed so you have a good amount of practice to remember how it works later in your algebra experience. Again, you will not be able to use this trick on Friday except to check your work, but at least you have something that will help you check it after you do your work, and then you can kind of use your graphing calculator briefly just to make sure everything was done correctly. Other than that, go ahead and go to MathXL and work on Chapter 2 extension, and good luck.